Sir, can you hear me? You've just been in an accident. Sustained major injuries. Stay calm, sir. Starting to lose consciousness. Going into cardiac arrest.
Medic!
Good?
I guess.
Are you comfortable?
No, I'm not.
Well, I appreciate you doing that. I appreciate you coming out here.
I know.
And
Just for you.
thank you. That does mean a lot. So, all right, we'll get into it, and it's not meant to be anything groundbreaking. It's just the idea that I had, like I said, to get former students from my cohorts and just kind of see where they are, because it covers about 5 years. And so, tell us who are you? You tell us who you are.
My name is Rita F. I'm from Hungary. I'm paramedic with Greenville County for 3 years, and also work for mobile care in 4 years now.
Awesome. So, what year did you graduate paramedic school?
2014.
2014. And what did you have any EMS experience prior to coming to paramedic school? No, nothing.
I mean, I learned some basic first aid stuff in Hungary, but that's it.
Okay. And so I think your story is fascinating. So for everybody that doesn't know, during Rita's cohort, I very, goofily, I guess, asked everybody to write why I want to be a paramedic at the beginning of their pharmacology and cardiology semester. And I put them in a folder, and I honestly didn't read too much into it until the end of the cohort. When we had 2014 as the first year, we came up with a pinning ceremony that I worked pretty hard on for about 2 years to get to happen in our paramedic school. And I took the top 3 that I thought were pretty interesting, and I read them out there. And then also, Rita is also the outstanding student of the class. She's also the first year that we recognized somebody like that, and we presented a certificate and one of our custom-made challenge coins. She's the first recipient of that, and that was a big deal. But I'll let her tell it. So how did you come? Tell us the story of how Rita became the paramedic, or how she got to paramedic school.
Okay, so after the middle school, I went high school, what is kind of different than here in the US. We can learn a professional in the high school. So I went in a nursing school, and in my sophomore year, I kind of decided I want to be a paramedic. I want to work in the EMS system. At that time in Hungary, it was a male job, more like a female. It wasn't any female paramedic on that time. So my parents, my teachers, everybody was against the idea. So I was 18. I finished the high school. I was a nurse on that time. Since I was unable to go to the paramedic field, I decided to be a physical therapist. So I went to the college. I finished the college. 3 years later, I was a physical therapist. I started to work with spinal cord injured people. That was a special field. It was challenging. I liked that, but that wasn't my job. I knew that. So I worked on the field about 3 years, and we moved to the US. So on that time, I thought, okay, my paramedic dream is over. I wasn't able to talk English when we arrived to the US. I was able to say thank you or sorry. Pretty much that was my dictionary on that time. We were here 2 years later. My younger daughter was born, so I was at home with her. I wasn't able to work on that time. So we speak Hungarian at home. I learn English from TV or some small conversation in a store, or I went every week to a church group. There was volunteer elderly ladies who try to teach English for us. That was awesome. I really liked that, but it's not enough to learn a language. So we lived in Alabama at that time, and in 2009 we moved to Greenville because my husband lost his job and he needed to find something else. So we moved to Greenville. That was the time when we heard about maybe we can get a green card. So at 2011, we finally get the green card, and I knew this is my chance to go to school and learn something, so I will be able to work. That was my first thought. If I need to go back to school and learn something, I want to be a paramedic, at least try to be. So few months later, I was sitting in Mike Dunaway class about the career talk, and I was like, okay, that's for me. And 2012, I started class.
Right on. And I seem to remember, I think you said that you had maybe cousins or an uncle who were in the fire service also in Hungary, or you had some family members who might have been paramedics?
Not really the fire, but so many family members in the healthcare field, like doctors or nurses.
Right. And what was, and this is my ignorance, but you said that you finally had the opportunity to get a green card. Does that equal opportunity for school here, or like what was that?
Yes, kind of, because I'm not really sure, but as I heard, if you don't have green card or citizenship, you may be not able to attend or have to pay a lot of money.
I know that that's absolutely true here for our school at the technical college, that you do have to prove citizenship or something like that. I think it's on the application, so I guess, like I said, that's my ignorance, but I completely get it, though.
Need to get a student visa or something.
So you you learn English from television, which I always think that's great. You show up here, you show up in EMT, and that's it. This is it. This is the calling. You're ready to go. You're smitten with EMS. You're ready for it. So what was EMT school like? What was, you'd already had healthcare training. You'd worked. I don't think some of the listeners here in the United States probably don't understand that at 18 years old, you were an RN. Okay, you were learning to be an RN in what would ultimately be our high school, and not to to something else I remember from you telling me the story before. You said about having your daughter here in the United States. Am I wrong? You had one beforehand though when you lived in Hungary, and the way that the country works is you were given 3 or 4 years off to raise her, and then right back into your healthcare job. Your job was held for you, your field was held for you, the re-education was held for you. There's a vast difference from the United States, but not that kind of podcast, not that kind of argument right now. I just thought it was super, super interesting. And then when you moved on to be, when you say physical therapist, you were a physical therapist. You weren't a physical therapist assistant. So you ultimately, by the age of 22 or 23, already had an RN license, and you were a physical therapist, which again, United States, 4 to 6 years of training. And you walked into EMT school, probably the most well-qualified EMT I've ever met. and then had to sit through 240 hours of this is the sticky side down of a Band-Aid. Here's how you call in a radio report, and here's where our antiquated backboard works. So, again, fascinating to me. So what did you think of EMT school?
I loved it. It was challenging. I know it will be challenging for me, not because the material, because as you already told, I have an RN and
Right.
a physical therapist background, but the English. I mean, English is my second language. Before EMT class, I never read a English written book. So pretty much the textbooks was my first English written book. So I was really afraid how I will do because the language. I learn really, study really hard. I want to learn everything because I was so interested, and also I know I already had a handicap, like the language. I need to get the most knowledge what I can to be good on the field.
Because, you don't have to speak English well to do a patient assessment. Think of it, I always equate that to, I'm Italian, and I know a little Spanish and even less Italian, and they're pretty close. And the west side of where we live is a highly populated Latino population, and we'll go on calls, and you learn one or two words, and you're pointing to a body part saying dolor, 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 and then the patient expounds on that, and you're like, I just yes or no, or you can shake your head. It only gets you so far, and clinically. So I mean, it's definitely something to overcome, and I remember you taking exams and saying, what does this word mean, or what does this phrase mean, and I'm like, well, it's how do I say this without giving away the answer? Because I know you know the answer, but I need to put it in a way that I'm not manufacturing your grade for you. So that's great. So what? I don't know. I guess what I'm looking for is what your experience. So you moved on. You passed EMT. EMT probably so easy, no big deal. Minus the language part. And then were you one of our students that went right into paramedic, or did you have the 7 or 9 months off? You went right in. You went right in. So you hit January first semester paramedic.
Yes.
All right. And then how was that? How was paramedic school?
That was a little bit more challenging, of course, than the EMT course. Lots of new skill, but I did not do before. I mean, I get the RN license at 18, but I never worked as a RN. I worked as a physical therapist, and that was way away from the
totally different skill set.
Yes, totally different. So that was pretty much new for me. Everything. I really enjoyed that. I think my family get tired to listen me every night at home when I went home from school or clinical or right time, and I tell them all the stories what happened with me, show them how to start the IV or
you totally geeked out over EMS. Like it was this was it. It was it for you. What was like? Can you think of what was like your most positive experience in paramedic school? What was pretty like? Was there anything that sticks out?
I think the class.
The class.
Class and the instructors. I think it was an awesome school, and we had a really good class. The study groups, that was awesome. We have to sit in a group, help each other, work all the time together.
I think you guys were the first class to do that, right? Where did you guys used to sit in the lines of desks, and then we started like halfway through, we started sitting in the crews, right? So I remember that because I went to kicking and screaming. I was drugged to the NAMC Instructor 1 course. And, 14 to 20 pages of notes later, I remember walking in Monday morning to probably pharmacology, cardiology, and I shut the door and I said, all right, here's how it's going to go. and you all got put into groups. You all got cool names of places I used to work. We laid it out, and you guys. And then you started sitting every day. You guys sat with your first in bag. You sat with your oxycaddy. You guys would be toned out on calls, and I was interested to see how well it worked. And again, I got lucky with a good class, so. And I think it worked out really well. You guys took to it pretty quick. Not a lot of pushback, if I remember right, which was great. And I think we had just come back over to this building, so we started really heavily into the simulation stuff, which was great. So that's good. That's good. How about a bad memory? What was a bad experience? Less than positive, maybe negative?
Bad memories? I don't really have bad memories about that.
No, not at all.
It's just more like because myself. So I can get so nervous if I get sent to a scenario, and I'm not that kind of person who would like to be
I know.
in the front of the attention. So just dealing with myself to push down the nervousness and, okay, you can do this. I mean, not because knowledge-wise I was nervous, because this is my personal.
Which I don't get. So you've got Rita, past experiences, and then you put her into the new one, and she's apprehensive about being the team leader, apprehensive about being on stage and having 4 or 5 other people watch you, and I get that. I do now. I didn't then, and I was just like, I'd give you a little push, and you get some success, and off you go. And I think it probably influenced a lot of other people in the class. Well, probably without you knowing. I think you probably influenced a ton of other people who probably sat there and said, "Wow, if she can." And I don't think a lot of people knew your story, the backstory. Like, I learned English from TV, and oh my gosh, look what I did in Hungary, all this other stuff. But I think once people were like, man, if she can power through, and English is her second language, and she's just learning this stuff for the first time, I guess I can do it too, which I always thought was cool. And again, I thought I think I was very lucky. You guys were very lucky. You had really good groups, really good ambulance crews that you were working with within the lab segment of the course. So well, that's good if it wasn't too negative. What would you say that you were ready to do the job? Like, when you graduated, do you think you were ready for your first year of EMS?
My first year of EMS?
Yeah, do you think that, I don't want to say did the school get you ready, do you think you were ready for it?
I think yes and no.
Yes and no? Okay.
Yes and no. I think the school gave us the knowledge, what we need to know on the field. But we went out as a book knowledge, and so many times the field is totally different.
Not very booknology,
not
right? Not very booknology.
Like at the school, we get scenarios, straightforward, get the signs, symptoms, what we need to look for, and go to a patient house, and everywhere it's hurt.
Right. The patient never read the textbook.
Yes,
they don't know that they're supposed to have jaw pain and left arm pain with their MI, and their sugar's never only just 100. Right? Yeah, I absolutely get that. So what would you? I'd say it's hard to say. What would you say to the medic student on their first day of class? They walk in they've already passed EMT, first day of EMS 150 at least here, so pretty much a trauma module, advanced assessment. What would you say to them on their first day?
First day in the medic
class?
First
day in medic class.
I don't know.
What do you wish somebody told you?
Do your best.
Do your best.
Do your best. Learn as much as you can.
Even if it's not on the assigned reading, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And even if it's the field is different, you need to treat every patient has a real emergency, or I don't know.
It's their
How do-
emergency. It's
It's
their
emergency.
emergency. Yeah.
Even if you think this is
Not so much of an
so much.
emergency.
Yes.
I gotcha. I think that's good. That's a good attitude to have early. You know, I'm of the thinking that people really do get into this job because they want to help people. But sometimes you do need to tell people that because after a while you get a little jaded, you get a little routine. You know, like, oh yeah, great, your arm hurts, I get it. But you know, everyone's got that story of someone who's got thumb or toe pain, and they're just because they put like that gut feeling, that 6th or 7th EMS sense, and they stick them on that monitor and having a giant MI. You know, and if you'd have totally blown them off, they'd have been sitting in the waiting room just infarcting away, and you know, it's because you're human. You know, you're human. What would you say to them as they're graduating? What would you say to them on their last day of paramedic school, but the first day before they hit the field, by themselves or as a trainee, not in that nice safety cushion of having a preceptor and, you know, depending where you're at. Where I rode, I had 2 medics and an EMT, so the EMT sat in the back with me on the way to a call, and I had 3 people I could fall back on a call when I was in paramedic school. And when, you know, hit the field as a trainee with your FTO, it's you, your FTO, and I always tell the story, you know, about I had given morphine like 1,000 times in paramedic school with no problem. We'd give it out like candy, Demerol, no big deal. And the first time I ever had to give morphine, I looked at the vial 40 times and was like, all right, I'm only going to give like 0.2 cc's of this to give 2 milligrams. And I looked at it 1,000 times and I knew what I was supposed to do. And I looked at my FTO and I looked at her and I said, I'm going to give 2 of these. And by the time I knew it, we were getting ready to come into the hospital. This poor guy with a fractured arm, I still haven't given him morphine because I was too busy, you know, making sure I wasn't going to screw it up the first time I had to do it by myself with really nobody looking over my shoulder. So, what are you going to tell that guy on his first day, right before he leaves the curb?
Good luck.
Good luck.
This will be challenging. You will be worried. But just use your knowledge. If you need to stand back, think for a second, and you will get it.
That's it for the first year. There's another thing I always I tell a lot of people about. Sometimes in the class, I say about you have your EMS epiphany, and some people, or it's like it clicks when it all clicks, and some students it clicks in that last semester. Some of them it clicks during the final, their last practical final. Or some of them it clicks walking down the aisle at graduation, and in other people it clicks like within the first year, maybe second year. When did it click for you? Like when was it? I mean, you came into it like, this is my calling. I finally got an opportunity. I'm going to get to do what I want to do. But like, when did it all kind of fall into place that you looked at yourself and was like, I get this. Like, I understand what is happening to heart muscle as somebody is infarcting. Like, stuff like that.
I think that one is pretty quick, but to be comfortable and don't jump, I mean, your stomach in a ball when the radio tone went off.
That's good to hear.
That's take about 2 years.
2 years.
2.5 years.
2.5 years. That's good to hear. That is great to hear. I know that feeling. Everyone who's listening to this right now knows that feeling of that radio alerting and your stomach flip-flopping.
Yeah.
And I remember that I'm an exception to the rule. I'm very fortunate coming up in EMS. I had great Explorer mentors. I started in the Boy Scouting Exploring program. And I remember that when that Minotaur 2 pager went off, I remember, and it didn't even have to be our truck. I remember my stomach flip-flopping. I was like, oh! And they were like, it's not us. And I was like, I'd be like let down. I also remember when that went away. After, a few years, even at the EMT level, it's another call. Great, let's go run it. And then it came back when I became a paramedic because, hey, this is going to be the ALS call. And then after honestly, about 5 years for me, 4 or 5 years. At year 5 for me was like, I'm at the top of my game. You've seen one gunshot. You've seen them all. Let's go run it because we got other stuff we should be doing. Maybe we'll get out to a better call. Or, I heard the other truck run this really cool call. I hope we get that next. So I absolutely get that, and it's great that. So let's see. You said 2014. You graduated in 14.
Yeah. So
it's coming up on what 3 years.
Yes.
3 years.
3
Awesome.
years, yeah.
Awesome. How important do you think it is to have a mentor, not just a training officer or someone who's responsible for you in your first couple months? Like, how important do you think it is?
In your job or in the school?
I maybe both. How about both?
Mm-hmm.
How about both?
I think it's really important. Really important to be a person with you who know your weakness, know your strength, and can help you through the situations, or you can go to somebody to talk about the call, tell them what you did, what is their opinion. Really important and can help really good.
And that doesn't have to be the instructor.
No.
And I think for me, I tried to do that. I would love to hear everyone's calls, but at the same time, you have to play that game of, we ran this call and this happened. What do you think? And I was like, I think you probably may want to go back and look at your protocols because I don't think that was run maybe the best way.
Yeah.
But you know what? I wasn't there. You obviously got something out of it. We talked about it, and we could turn that into something. We turned it into a positive experience. How about even on the job? I mean, my mentors honestly are from my time as an explorer, and I am very lucky. In my paramedic school, there's not one single person, not one single preceptor that I would ever call a mentor, because of how the clinicals were run. It was, you show up, you perform, I evaluate, you go home. Like, there was nothing, like, I didn't really talk too much about calls. We would talk to our instructors about that. So, again, for me, like, I met really mentors or role models I met when I started to hit the field here locally when I got out of paramedic school. So, again, like, I guess I'm the exception. I guess maybe that's why I asked that. All right, moving on. Would you say that EMS has changed you? I hear a lot of people, because real as of late, a lot of PTSD and resilience is becoming a much more talked about thing in EMS and the public service, not just the military. And I get that, but at the same time, I always hear a lot of people, EMS changes you or public service changes you. I think any job changes you. I think it's just a product of being an adult. You have life experiences, and life experiences change you. What do you think? I mean, would you say it's changed you or in some way, shape, or form? Or
I don't think so.
No.
Or not yet.
Oh, not yet.
I don't know.
You're waiting for it.
Maybe.
Right.
I mean, I run not a lot, but a few really bad calls.
And see, that's what I mean. People equate it right there is that change comes from bad calls, bad experience, negative experiences. And I get that. I just maybe never thought about it as much before because I think social media plays a very big part. Almost, and maybe, again, me personally, it's bad. I've turned, we have the Code Green campaign, and I think those guys are doing a great job. But I've heard people, including myself, we've turned that into a verb. Like, I'm going to code green you. Like, I'm going to code green somebody today. Like, it's just, I worry about it. I worry about people. I worry about providers. I just think that they're not taking a lot of time for self-care, and again, it's so in your face on social media and other outlets. I just think it's exponentially worse. Or maybe it was so quiet for a long time just never had any idea about it. So,
I mean, on that time, I always had a partner next to me who I was able to talk through the cause. If it was a really bad call, we can reach out to the supervisors who can talk with us or help through the emotional.
I agree. I agree. Probably way more for another podcast. So what else? I mean, what else? What have I not covered? What else do you think? What else is on your mind? What's next for Rita?
Probably EMS.
More EMS? This is it. You found it. You found it. You love it. You're that person. You're that person I was put here to help people.
Yes.
Awesome.
Probably I will stay on this field as I
EMS lifer.
can do. Yeah.
Well, all right, so in that sense, what do you want for yourself then? What do you want out of it? What do you want out of EMS? I always say you get out of it what you put into it. So what do you want out of EMS? From now on. No, haven't found it yet. Well, I mean, all right. So you ask people, what do you want to be when you grow up? All right. So what do you want to be when you grow up in EMS? Back when I went to paramedic school, I graduated in 2002. I started EMS in 1992 as an explorer, as a first responder. And the job, the be-all, end-all job then was flight medic. Like, if you didn't want to be a flight medic, like, that was the top of the game, flight paramedic. You kind of fast forward a few years, then it was, I want to be a SWAT paramedic. SWAT paramedic is where it's at. We're going to kick doors, put Band-Aids on, it's going to be awesome. Now, there's a lot more out there. You've got flight medic, tactical paramedic, you've got critical care paramedic. That was still a young thing when I was coming up. I mean, now it's a bigger deal. There's more specialties in EMS. What else? I mean, it doesn't even have to be grandiose like that. I just want to be a supervisor. I want to be a lieutenant. I want to be a sergeant. I want to be a training officer. I want to be a sole provider on the quick response vehicles. I want to work by myself.
Yeah, for me, probably stay on the field. And you mentioned critical paramedic. I was thinking about that. Maybe flight medic. I'm not thinking about supervisor or lieutenant or
Why?
training officer.
Just not you, or just not yet, or
not me. And I don't think I want to sit in an office.
It's horrible.
And do paperwork. I want to be on.
It's horrible sitting in that office. The desk doesn't run a lot of calls.
Yes.
It's very horrible. You live vicariously through the crews. You wish you were out there. That's how you know you really want to do this job. That's awesome. That's awesome. I don't know. That's really those are really all I had. Again, like I said, your story is probably one of my favorite student stories out there. Not really overcoming adversity, but again, this opportunity, determination. You saw something you wanted to do. You finally found the land of opportunity in the United States of America, and you found it through a 2-year technical college, and you're out there doing being a rock star paramedic. I'm super proud of it too.
Thank you.
Super proud of it, and I hope you do. I hope you achieve everything you want to. If it's not around here, it's wherever you land, and I think you'll be awesome at it. So I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you for the invitation.
You got it.